Farm-raised lamb burger and stew meat, a healthier alternative. William Hovey Smith, 2015. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, and here we discuss a healthy and available alternative to wild game meats. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. Here in North America, we mostly eat beef and pork and chicken. However, I am unusual in that my meat diet usually consists of wild game. And here at Whitehall, our meats in order of poundage consumed per year would start off with venison, wild hog, wild fowl of various sorts, and various species of small game. I eat almost no commercial meat, and the only time I eat regular beef and pork in anything like extremely minor amounts is when I'm on the road. Why? Well, I don't want to ingest all the additives they put in these meats, nor do I think that they are particularly healthy for you. Now, if you don't happen to hunt, there are alternatives. And what I have in front of me is lamb. And this is packaged locally by Forest Grove Plantation here in central Georgia. And this lady, she has a garden and she sells at the farmer's market, and she also raises lambs, which are periodically slaughtered under government inspection, and she packages and sells small amounts of meat. And it does not have all of the additives, growth hormones, or anything else that might go into commercial beef. Now, lamb is unusual here in central Georgia. It's not something we usually eat. Now, previously, I have bought a package of stew meat and made a very excellent lamb stew, which you will see a bit of later. This is ground lamb, as in lamb burger. And so we're going to cut it and we're going to make up some hamburgers with it and fry them up and see how they do. I suspect they will cook much like beef burgers and not be nearly as dry as the typical venison. And here is, of course, said package. Vacuum sealed. Done it very nicely. This happens to be 1 pound exactly. So this will make up about, 3 burgers. And it has, as you see, a reasonable amount of fat in it. I like to mix a little onion in my burger. I like to mix a few bell peppers in my burger. It seems to be about right. A little pepper. A little salt. You could throw in a little mustard if you like. When you have high protein meats, these will stick to the hands. This doesn't stick. So what it tells me is it has a moderate amount of fat in it. Okay, see, we got a burger here. Mixes up very dry. Okay. That's a good size, nearly 3-inch man burger. It's a good guy sized burger. Ladies might like them a little smaller, but that's about right for a guy. Okay. Slightly smaller. Feels very good when you mix, by the way. And this one may come up a little bit smaller than, yeah. Okay. And life-size burger. So, all right. So we're going to put these on the stove and see what happens. Well, we are starting to cook, as you will see. Now, thus far, it seems to be cooking about like a beef burger would, in that it's heating, steaming, and it's evolving grease. It's starting to coat the bottom of the frying pan fairly well. Yeah, the grease being evolved is fairly well coating the pan. I had briefly wiped it with just a little bit of canola oil. I'm not sure that was actually necessary. And I've got it on a 6 here, which is about a moderate heat, which is what I usually cook burgers on. So thus far it's doing good, so we'll just leave it that way for a while. The smallest one is starting to show brown about halfway up the burger, which indicates it's time to flip it. Yes. Just a slight bit of pressure on the top. Now it is accumulating grease in this pan. We've now got a layer all over the pan, approximately 1/8 of an inch deep. Our thicker junior size burger here is now starting to turn brown about halfway up. So it's ready to flip. Very light pressure on the top. And rotate the pan. And even our daddy size burger is ready. That one was a little bit sticky. It may have been a little too long on that side, but there's no particular smell. Not even as much as one would get from beef. I have flipped these one more time for about 2 minutes. So these are ready to take up now. As you can see, there is some shrinkage. So these are the products. Now we have evolved considerable fat here. About a 1/4 cup. Rather more than I want in a burger product. If I were to grind this burger myself, I would use much less fat in it. Let's see how we did. This is the smallest one. Okay, it is done, which is purposely how I would like my burgers, particularly wild game ones. Okay. Taste. Spears well. Still moist. It tastes very good indeed. As a matter of fact, you'd be hard put to say that it was not beef. Put a little ketchup on it. That is a very good succulent burger. In taste, I would classify it as above normal beef. We'll try it now with a little mustard. Actually, the ketchup complements it better. This is a good burger. One thing I didn't mention, since this is lamb and this is mutton, you will notice that when you roll it out, the tallow will stick to your hands much more so than would be if you were working beef. So that might be a little bit of a put off, but that's just the nature of this meat. It is a different meat, but it tastes excellent. I would rate it right up there with good alligator burger. And you would be hard put to find even a prime Angus burger that would be any better. For the information of those who are culturally deprived, there is such a thing as alligator burger. And if you hunt your own alligators, you can make it yourself. If you're fortunate enough to live in places like Florida or Louisiana, you can buy it at local grocers or in an increasing number of Cajun-themed restaurants that are available nationwide. Before I reheated my components, I wanted to actually show you the meal as well as the stew itself. Now this I cook much like I cook my venison stew. Now this is of course a hunk of lamb, and it was already cut as stew meat. Unlike the burger here, the cut meat had comparatively little fat. So I would say probably only perhaps 5% or so. To this I added the usual elements I would add to a stew, like cut up baked potatoes, tomatoes. Now these happen to be fresh tomatoes bought from the same lady that I bought the lamb from. There's okra in here because okra is in season, and we Southerners like our stews a little slimy, as well as the usual carrots. Yeah, come on, get one. There you go. Here. And of course, onion. Now, the way you cook a stew like this, and I have other YouTube videos about cooking stews, you take your meat, you thaw it out, you pat it dry, you flour it, put salt, pepper on it, you brown it in oil, and this usually takes about an inch or two of oil. Then you pour off all of the excess oil, allow the meat to dry, put that and any browning residue back in a pan. You add your cut up vegetables, you add water, and you proceed to put in a pressure cooker and cook for about 20 minutes. And that will give you a very excellent stew in a hurry. And again, as I say, I have videos on cooking the stew. Now the taste qualities of this stew are a little bit different, but not startlingly so from a good beef stew. If you didn't tell anybody, they would not know the difference. You do not taste mutton in this. I don't get that taste at all. This is, after all, a very young lamb. Now, if this had been an adult sheep and you'd cooked it, yes, you certainly would get more of a muttony taste out of it. Now, the burger here, you have seen before, and we have tasted it, and it did very well. And what this is something like a near beer. It is a weakly alcoholic pear beverage that I ferment here. It is less potent than wine or even beer, but nonetheless gives a good, refreshing drink, and it complements the flavors of this lamb very, very well. So this is going to be my meal. So we're going to heat it up, and we'll give you a little taste of it in just a second. We now have our components reheated, and we will tell you about it. Okay, here's of course our lamb. It's very good, easily chewed. It does have a little stringy texture, but much like beef. Now, the more you cooked it, of course, the tenderer it would be. vegetable components of the soup are also a little bit chewy. Al dente, as the Italians would say, which is fine. The carrots I could have pre-cooked a little bit to make them softer, but they're quite right. They're fine. The burger reheated nicely in the microwave. It evolved a little more grease on the reheat. It's still pretty juicy. And as before, I like it better with ketchup. That is a good burger. Okay. A little of my fermented pear drink. Also good. Has a little citrus to it, a little hint of pear. If you can think of a pear flavored lemonade, this is about what it tastes like. And it's very good, cold, refreshing drink on a warm day. Okay? These I just put up last night. This is okra. It has been soaked with peppers, however, and boiled with peppers, so it should be a little bit on the hot side. So we're going to dice it up and put a little of this on the stew to see if it will impart a little bit of heat to the stew. I believe it will. Mix that up. You can certainly taste it. Even that one pod gave it a little bit of heat. And a little touch of sour to the entire stew. I think, however, this particular stew was better off without it. My conclusion is, if you want a good tasting, mildly flavored meat that's been farm raised without all the chemicals and additives, well, these lambs are quite good and can be, although expensive at about $8 a pound, a reasonable addition to one's diet. But now, this is Hovey Smith reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. My venison stew and other recipes are available in all of my books, including Backyard Deer, Crossbow Hunting, Extreme Muzzleloading, and Practical Bow Fishing, which of course has gators in it. And I also have a new series of business books in the Profit series, including Ideas for New Businesses, and here's a little blurb about that. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 225 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.